This is the story of Rikki Tikki Tavi by Richard Kipling. Rikki Tikki Tavi fought single-handedly through the bathrooms of the big bungalow in India. Darzy, a bird that helped him with this battle, and a muskrat that gives him advice. They all help him through his journey, but Rikki did all the real fighting on his own. Rikki was a mongoose, a very brave mongoose. His war cries as he scuttled through the grass was Rikki Tikki Tikki Tack. A summer day, Rikki was washed out from his nest with his mom and dad. He landed in a garden where he met Teddy. Teddy had a mom and a dad. Teddy was a very young boy. Teddy thought Rikki Tikki was dead, but his mother took a look at him and said, "Well, I think he might be alive. Let's go dry him off and see what happens." So they dried him off over a fire, and then Rikki gave out a sneeze. Achoo! And he opened up his eyes and saw Teddy. Rikki was not frightened because mongooses are very, very brave. So, after he was dried off, he decides to go through the garden and see what is to be seen. He runs into Darzy and his wife, who is a bird, and Rikki starts talking to the bird, and they are so sad. They can't understand why Nag had eaten one of their eggs who had fallen out of the tree. And just as Rikki was asking, "Who is Nag?" Rikki turned around to see a big cobra right behind him. That was very scary for Rikki. So Rikki asks, you'd think he'd be scared, but Rikki asked the snake and asked him, "Why do you eat the eggs?" And then he turns around and there's Niagara, Nag's wife, who comes up behind him. But Rikki jumps high in the air, turns around, and tries to bite Nag, but he misses. And they both make it off into the grass. So Rikki knew that they were out there and that there were snakes in the garden. So Rikki goes to find Teddy again, and then he sees Teddy across the garden, and there is another snake in Teddy's path that is about to bite Teddy. So Rikki jumps up, and it's Karat who is there, the snake. He jumps in and grabs him, and he is fighting with Karat. He snaps him and paralyzes him. That's what mongooses do when they fight. So the family was very pleased with Rikki. Oh, but there's more to happen with this story. This is not the end. You'd think it would be, but it's not. So the family was so happy with Rikki, and Rikki gets to sleep with Teddy. He is like family to Teddy and his mom and dad. So one night, when Teddy had asked to have Rikki sleep with him under his neck, he goes in to bed, and then once Teddy falls asleep, he goes around and does his rounds. So he's walking around and meets a muskrat. And the muskrat warns him that Nag and Niagara are still out there. And Rikki really isn't fazed by this, but then all of a sudden he hears a slither. It was Nag and Niagara talking in the bathroom. So Rikki tiptoes in there and hides in the bathroom and watches as Nag and Niagara are talking. Their plan is to kill the humans, which is Teddy and his mom and dad. And once they're dead, then they think Rikki will leave. And then they will be king and queen of the garden again. And they are children who are in eggs right now, getting ready to hatch, that are in the garden by the melons. They want to rule the house again, just like they used to. But Rikki's not going to let that happen. So Rikki finds that Nag is getting ready to go and slither into a water canister by the bathtub, so he will bite the old man in the morning. But Ricky has an idea. He grabs the snake by his head, grabs him and throws him down, and he is beating the snake up and down, making all this noise. So I guess old man wakes up, the big man, they call him the big man. The big man wakes up to find Ricky and the snake. He gets his shotgun and boom! Kills Nag. The big man and the wife are very happy to have Ricky around to protect them. He has protected them once again. But Ricky knows Niagara, his Nag's wife, is still out there. So, Ricky goes out to the garden the next day, and Darcy, his friend, they are talking, and Ricky comes up with an idea. Ricky tells Darcy that he needs to distract Niagara so that Ricky can go get the eggs and destroy them. Darcy agrees because of the fact that when the eggs are gone, there will be no more snakes. So, that is if they can get rid of Niagara, correct? So, Darcy agrees and goes up to Niagara, acting like he is flailing his body all over the place. And he is just saying that the little boy Teddy had thrown a stone at him, and he is crying and flopping and flopping. Just when Niagara is about to strike, he flies away. So he has tricked Niagara. In the meantime, Ricky is by the nest, eating the eggs. But when he gets to the last one, he looks over and sees Niagara underneath Teddy's chair where the family is eating outside. Ricky gets very worried. Ricky runs and drops the egg on the veranda and distracts Niagara long enough, because Niagara knows now that Ricky has one of the eggs. Distracts her long enough to where Teddy and the family can get away. And Ricky lets the family get away, but then Niagara grabs the egg and slithers off into her hole. But Ricky, the brave mongoose that he is, grabs onto the tail of Niagara and follows her into the hole. This is very scary for mongooses because when a mongoose goes down into a hole, you don't know if he's ever going to come out. So Darcy, his friend, starts singing a sad, sad song, thinking that Ricky Tikki is done for. But just then, Ricky appears out of the hole, shakes the dust off, and says Niagara is dead. People couldn't believe it. Everyone was so happy. Especially Ricky. Ricky was very proud of himself that day. And the family continued to live in peace.